peoples who live in frontier zones develop cultures that are a little bit of each, where they borrow from both and at the same time are just a little bit disloyal to each. We have new languages arising along borders, new literatures, new ways of thinking, and to understand America in all of its complexity, I think we do need to understand these frontier regions as much as we understand the heartlands.
New Mexican culture is very much a blending of the indigenous traditions that were here and traditions brought from Spain, traditions brought from Mexico by both people of New World Spanish ancestry, people of Mexican Indian ancestry. So New Mexican culture has very distinct roots from so many of the traditions of colonial New Mexico, and it's still palpable here in the art traditions, in the architecture, in the food.
My favorite symbol for this is the wheat tortilla. The tortilla is a very ancient American Indian bread, maize bread, it's cornbread. But somehow or other, very, very early in the game, after the Europeans brought in wheat, somebody somewhere started to make wheat tortillas. And now when you go to the grocery store, you have to make a choice. You can get corn or wheat tortillas.
They adapted many of the things that the Spaniards brought. They learned to use oxen and plows, and they learned to adopt the chicken and the pig as part of their way of life. And yet at the same time, they didn't surrender everything that they had had before. At the same time, the Spaniards also had to learn from the indigenous peoples. Spaniards who lived on the frontiers of Mexico, in what is today New Mexico and Arizona, learned about adobe and learned about how to hunt and how to use the resources of the areas from indigenous peoples. And so the culture of Spaniards, especially when you got away from the big cities, became also a hybrid culture.
The word frontier in American history has been one of the most useful and at the same time one of the most controversial terms. In the old sense of the word, the way in which Frederick Jackson Turner led us to think about it, it had this kind of triumphalist edge to it, in which white Anglo-American males largely moved west into a so-called virgin land. I think the way we think about the frontier today, frontiers are places where different peoples meet, where two or more cultures come into contact with one another, and the contact may be peaceful, it may be pacific, but we know there are no empty lands out there. There are peoples inhabiting frontier regions, and it's the dynamics between those peoples that tend to interest us.